Welcome back to another episode where I look at Nerves of Steel. Today I'm looking at episode 3. Nerves of Steel is the documentary series following Emerald Park's newest creation, the land of Tir Na Nog, but we also see history of the park. If you haven't seen episodes 1 or 2, I'll put them up here as well as links in the description, but this is episode 3 of Nerves of Steel.
In this series, we go behind the scenes to experience the thrills and challenges that go into making Emerald Park one of Ireland's top visitor attractions. As they roll out their big plans for the park's most daring expansion, featuring 2 new major roller coasters.
Oh, looks great.
It's massive. You'll get inverted 4 or 5 times anyway.
And the ups and downs they face along the way.
So we're going to see some of the PR event before the land's actually built, where they just want to get it advertised, get it out there known to the masses, to the media.
Construction in the park's new area, codenamed Project 24, is gathering pace, and the park staff are at their busiest.
Full of excitement this week anyway, loads.
Football match yesterday evening, and then I had a meeting last night as well. Like I literally went from 7 o'clock yesterday morning to 11 o'clock last night.
Look, it'll be worth it anyway.
Emerald Park management have decided the time is right to tease some details of the expansion and 2 new roller coasters with the public. So they've called in their PR big gun, Joanne.
It's a poignant day, and I'm sure it will be for Charles, because this is something that his dad Ray really wanted. He had such a vision.
The accounts team came because they heard about the cupcakes, is it?
In all fairness, those cupcakes look exquisite.
This has been Project 24, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And, I'm sure a lot of people probably didn't believe us. Now we're actually able to show this is actually coming out of the ground as we speak. So it's a big day, all right, yeah.
But it looks as though somebody forgot to tell the press. Most of the reporters have yet to show.
Those cupcakes are going to go to waste.
Emer, I thought you said 15 people had replied.
They did.
Maybe this morning, yeah.
We have about 12 reporters due to come in, so it's just a matter of them getting from one side of the park to the other. Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time sometimes.
By all means, this looks a bit low budget compared to other parks revealing things to journalists and having events and things like that, but it's quite well rounded, quite decent. It's showing you what you need to see, and it's quite well planned, and they put the effort in and the staff are there.
Biggest gamble almost in this park's history, so it's very exciting to finally be able to reveal it and to announce that next spring we're opening a fully themed land called Tir Na Nog. Frank, if you'd be as good as to play the video. No pressure, Frank.
This is going to be world class. They have gone for the designers and creators who create stuff for, Disney, who create stuff for some of the biggest theme parks in the world. And I'm really excited.
I actually thought that voiceover was actually on the video they were watching for a minute. I thought it was really weird. But no, it wasn't.
And I'm really excited to see people's reaction.
So without further ado...
As well as the animated teaser, a miniature 3D model of Tir Na Nog has been commissioned to really pique the public's curiosity.
I do really like the model. As he says, it puts it in perspective, but it's not a bad little model either. It looks quite nice.
August has arrived.
Reverse drop on a water ride, always good in my book.
And the amusement park's first summer season as Emerald Park is coming to a close.
The name change from Tayto Park to Emerald Park has gone really, really well. Better than we could have expected. But it's been a mixed bag this season. I mean, brilliant up until the 3rd of July, and then it started to rain. And, well, it didn't stop.
We'll see a mainly dry day on Friday, just a few showers, but then this next system looks like bringing more wet weather in over us.
Usually we lose maybe 4 or 5 days a month, 1 day a week for bad weather. In a normal summer, well, we were losing 3 or 4 a week, so it was tough.
That's not good. I know it used to rain in the UK, but Ireland always had the impression was a lot more sunny than here. They've just invested. They don't need 3 days a week wasted to rain. They need to get that money in for the investment.
Since the 5th, 6th, 7th of August, things have improved dramatically.
It's not only the park's revenue that has fallen victim to the inclement weather throughout July.
Hello? Oh, yes, you have concrete, is it?
It has also put a serious dampener on progress at the Tir Na Nog site, causing delays in construction of the 2 new roller coasters.
I'm looking forward to this because we're going to see more of the Tir Na Nog, or Tir Na Nog. For some, I'm going to have to get used to saying that. I've just been referring to it as Tir Na Nog. Tir Na Nog site. We've seen in previous 2 episodes, we've seen Cuchulainn, the history of the park. We've seen the 2023 new kids area. Now we've seen all of that. Hopefully this episode and the final episode, we're going to see a lot more based on Tir Na Nog, the 2 coasters and the land they've got there.
July alone, there was 21 wet days out of the month. We've had 5.5 times the same amount of rainfall compared to last year. So it's definitely had an effect on progress here on site. Concrete will be here in about 5 minutes.
Concrete seems like the kind of thing where if it was 5 minutes away, you almost wouldn't need to say it. I think it's going to be a bit longer than 5 minutes.
Thankfully,
I like this shot from the air. I know I've said previous 2 episodes, shots of the park looking great from above, but I like seeing this area now taking shape, where we just saw it flat and they were putting the supports in at the end of the previous year. Now we're seeing it take shape. Starting to see parts of the coasters up. It's looking really good.
It is beginning to take shape. Lift hill is starting to go up. All the really exciting bits, all the hard work that was done last winter by all the team on site is really beginning to pay off now. It's like nothing happening. Big holes in the ground, throwing loads of cement and steel into it. What are we doing spending all this money? And then everything starts rising out of the ground. It's really, really jumping forward, so it is. And over the next 4 weeks or so, the transformation should be quite incredible.
It's the first of its kind in Europe with this particular type of track layout. There's plenty of airtime moments, there's near misses. We have the family boomerang that's running alongside it, so you're seeing the other roller coaster in motion as you're going around yourself.
I think the dueling aspect of this ride is great, but also the fact it's 2 different coasters. We've got an inverted, we've got a non-inverted boomerang as well. I think the styles, rather than them being the same coasters, that's a lot more to it, I think.
even the theming on some of the new structures within the site has begun.
This is some of our artificial rock teaming that we have throughout the land here. What we have is the maintenance building, which would be the primary structure. Then we would then add, this is what's called the secondary steel, that gives us all the different shapes to make it look as natural as possible. The stone effect on it, they can make timber effects, steel effects, anything you want really can be carved out of this concrete. It's marvellous what they can do with it, all right.
Stand back there, please. Stand back in the boxes, please.
The park's expansion will mean a lot more work for staff and a lot more responsibility for rides and attractions manager Ross.
2 brand new world-class Detroit steel roller coasters. It's a great improvement to the park. And to be the manager of the department that looks after the operation of it, it's quite...
Was that kid throwing up gang signs then?
And today is both an exciting and nerve-wracking day for project manager David.
That bank turn looks really tight, doesn't it? Like a really short, tight turn. I'm getting flashbacks of when I was on Hero. It won't be as uncomfortable as Hero, I'm sure, but it had really tight bank corners on Hero that threw you through them, so you're really going to fly through this, I think.
The last pieces of the roller coaster's track are being fitted into place. And it's definitely all going to fit perfectly, no matter what.
It's like a big giant Meccano set. The site is over 200 metres long, and we had about 15 to 20 millimetres of a tolerance across the whole site. Top of your finger is as much that any part of it can be off by.
This is where we find out if they've done it properly within the tolerances. Obviously, we know it has been because it's open now, but it's still kind of a tender hook moment for them.
Fingers crossed it all connects and works perfectly fine for us.
As a treat, Managing Director Charles has invited some of the staff onto the new site. For most, it's their first look at seeing these mammoth structures up close.
So if you trace the ride, you go off the station, dive through what we're going to be calling the trench run. It'll come up.
It's really nice seeing it complete, but also seeing all the elements. I mean, they're still building them, but seeing all the elements come together, it's nice to see it suddenly grow now. Now we've got those foundations in, it's really going to start going up quickly, I think.
Pit and trench. Over the top of the station, you're fully upside down and inverted at that point. Heading underneath the lift hill, you'll join back with that track as it is there. You'll burst out through the station and you'll start, I think it's called an upward helix, and you'll be going upside down at that point, a couple of rotations, and then back to the station. All right, sure, we'll just wander on a bit more.
It's massive.
Since the end of August, there's been so much work that's been happening. So 75% of what you see really, it's not without its difficulties, as all building projects are. anything good and worth doing is always...
Look at the shake on that.
But it's worth all the struggle. There will be no relief or pride or anything like that for really any of the team until the day that we open. So there's so...
The building community's equivalent of the greasers are showing up. It's all going to kick off now. Do you think that's a stock sound effect, or do you think that's actually sound from the building site?
It's not just the builders and coaster installers who will be flat out. This is also the busiest time of year for Emerald Park's marketing team.
Oh, this is the last time to be on your phone while you're at work. This is important stuff. It needs to be right. It needs to be safe.
Downtown for the park. It's lovely, peaceful, quiet. It's gorgeous. You can hear all the birds in the background and everything today. It's fabulous.
She sounds like she really loves the customers.
But not for us in marketing. This is the time that we are extremely busy, off-peak, trying to get everything for reopening, and especially for our big year next year. 2 new roller coasters, which is just unthinkable. I don't think the Irish public are going to realise the scale of what we've put in, to be honest. Cuchulainn was massive for us in 2015. It was unbelievable. The vision of Raymond of putting it into the park was unbelievable. And the media that came those days couldn't believe it. So when they're going to see what this is next year, it's just going to be breathtaking, I think, to kind of see the scale that we've brought it to. And all we want to do is see families come and enjoy it and having a great time and come back year on year to see it. I suppose it was a huge vision for Raymond. It's his final kind of, with his passing. I'm even getting emotional.
He'd be gutted that he's not here. He'd be the one giving the tour, pointing around and stuff like that, probably getting into some of the trenches. But he'd be very proud of how the team has performed and how the project is moving forward. Yeah, he's looking down with a certain amount of envy, but a lot of pride.
The most impressive part would be when they cross over. What I'd like to get is the timings, to get them meeting at 2 or 3 points.
Hearing the rides manager there about getting the timings right, so 2 or 3 points and get them to dual and cross these 2 roller coasters. I'm wondering how much they must have put research into it, how much research they put into the timings of the rides and how easy that is to do. It might be a case of they can only cross over at 1 point depending on timings. I don't know. I wonder how much thought they put into that, because obviously you're not going to wait if one's ready to batch for the other one necessarily, but it is nice to try and get it like that.
The reason we stopped at this point here is because it's an amazing view and you really get the sense of the scale when you come off the top of the lift hill and it dives down into this trench.
The biggest point of that would be that corkscrew turn now. That's why everyone will get the heebie-jeebies.
Lovely shade of the dark blue and the dark red they've chosen for these 2 roller coasters. I think are really lovely colours as well. Having said that, I don't know if they've chosen those colours because they match the crane there. Have you seen the camera shot?
The Tir Na Nog site resembles a swamp. It would seem that Mother Nature is doing everything in her power to thwart the team's plans.
The weather has been less than ideal. I mean, we actually haven't even filled that at all, but the rain managed to do that itself.
Always got to look at the positives. Nature's helped you out with filling that rather than fill it with water yourself.
The weather probably has been our biggest enemy. It's been quite poor. Even across the weekend, we'd have 2 storms on Saturday, Sunday, so that meant there was no lifting could be done, that it was only basic kind of tidying up work that was done. It's adding to the delays now with the landscaping and moving clay there today, that everything just becomes a little bit wetter, a little bit harder to do things.
I mentioned this in the last episode, but I'm getting flashbacks again. They're having trouble with the storms and the rain. They had a lot of trouble, if anyone remembers, the end of 2012. They didn't want to start building the Smiler until the season had ended because they didn't want too many people getting photos and things, although people got them from the air from airplanes, so it didn't really matter in the end.
The guys from Universal Rocks, they are using concrete and spraying concrete on walls and things like that. And when it's lashing rain, they're not able to get anything done. But still, with that being said, they've made some great strides.
However, to transform this building site into the team's vision of an ancient fantasy land, they still have an enormous amount of theming ahead of them.
It's like art, doing like a real stone, but it's fake. It's with concrete. We do a structure like this. We put concrete over, and when the concrete is getting hard, we carve, okay, and do the stone.
It's incredible what they can actually mould and sculpt from this cement, and then it's actually just cement and concrete. It's insane.
This would have started off as bare concrete, but over the last 2 weeks, the painter on site has been adding layer by layer. So it starts with kind of warm tones like browns, yellows, and then slowly but surely he kind of adds the darker, the kind of more grey blacks come on top. The next stage then is to add the moss, add the lichens, the kind of where water will be dripping down, so you kind of have like a green hue coming down certain parts of it. So the idea is to make it look as natural as possible, as if they've always been here and the ride has been built around this as opposed to the other way around.
Can't tell from this angle because it's close to the camera, but I wonder which one dwarfs which out of Cuchulainn and the steel coaster.
Today, the trains have arrived for the family boomerang, and Neve and David can't resist a sneaky look.
We're going to take a look at the trains.
That looks nice.
Looks great, yeah.
Really
Really
good.
happy with the colour. How many carriages are going to go down the back of this now?
There's 10 carriages in total.
Okay.
And then we have the Celtic scroll on the back, on the very back one then. Yeah.
That's class. It looks so well. We're trying to bring brightness back into the park. That's a huge thing. We have beautiful wooden buildings and they're absolutely gorgeous, but we need to bring colour. I know I keep going on it because Dave's gone and put lovely stone everywhere down here and it looks great. And I'm like, colour, 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 colour.
That's why they built a big wooden coaster first, and now they want more steel and more colour in the park.
Does the marketing side of the house and the other side of the house ever clash on it?
Never. No. Do we ever clash, David?
I don't think so, no.
In fairness, we don't.
We choose our battles, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah.
That was a bit awkward, wasn't it? Into the beginning of this year.
Each year, Emerald Park relies on hundreds of seasonal staff to get it through the busy summer period.
Claire's Oisin, Claire. Kieran, Claire.
But with the Tir Na Nog expansion due to open in just 4 months' time, recruiters will need to hire even more staff this year.
This isn't awkward at all, is it? Having your interview take place while there's a TV crew there just watching. But I do like the fact that they just have it right in the dead centre of the gift shop. I think that's quite unique.
Opening of Tir Na Nog, we're probably going to be pushing on between 600 and 700 staff this year.
At Emerald Park in 2020.
You're nearly a lifer.
Do you think you have good energy?
Energy, yeah. I think I'm a bit too much energy.
Good answer. I like how compared to the shots we've seen in the previous episodes from this specific angle, even from the drones, you can now see the greys, the blacks, and also the greens from the moss on some of the buildings and structures around the roller coaster.
Out on site, the tracks for both roller coasters are now complete, and the landscaping and theming is coming along nicely.
Also, I don't think this tower, I know in episode 1 they were struggling because Charles wanted the tower to be encasing around the coaster and they had to have one end open and kind of crumbling apart to kind of cater for the roller coaster spike being in there, the end of the boomerang coaster layout. I actually think it doesn't look too bad as it is. They've done alright.
But the most exciting news of all is that the trains for the suspended thrill coaster have now arrived and are being installed and tested by the ride's manufacturers, Vekoma.
Oh, I know some of your ears would have perked up then for finally getting Thuzy talk. We're talking about the roller coaster manufacturer Vekoma, and also I want to say that the restraints look really comfortable actually.
We're loading on water dummies at the moment. The idea is that when the first time the train goes, it has to be a fully loaded or simulate a fully loaded train. We don't want the train to valley or anything like that the wheels have to be run in, etc.
One thing I didn't know till watching this, that they actually have to send the roller coaster. I assume they do it with all roller coasters. They have to send it around fully weighted to begin with quite a few times just to let the wheels run in. Otherwise it will valley with less weight. I'm learning all the time from this as well.
And then slowly but surely, you're kind of removing 2 water dummies at a time, just constantly cycling it, and then it's just putting laps and laps up. Hopefully in the next number of weeks we'll be actually able to put people on the trains then as well. Can't wait to give it a go. We're actually probably about 4 to 5 years into planning stages for it to get to this point, so definitely I want to give it a go myself.
Good on him for wanting to ride it. I can imagine how excited he is after all that time, but my god, how great it must feel to finally see this coaster almost completely finished, almost ready to send it round after 5 years of planning. They've come through all the building and the arduous work, and it must be great and rewarding for him and the team.
But in order to run a roller coaster around a track, you need power. Lots of it. It is, unfortunately, in very short supply here at the moment.
Hopefully we'll have the power. We'll know before 6 o'clock this evening whether tomorrow, you're talking to Charles, if it's not tomorrow it'll be Monday, but hopefully it'll be tomorrow. But we have generator power on site here, but our main generator, it's only kind of borderline whether it would actually send the fully loaded train up over the lift hill. So rather than chancing it and having it stopping on the lift hill somewhere, that we'd rather just wait for the main power to come in before we start running them.
I wonder how much power it takes to get all that weight up the lift hill. It must take quite a bit then.
It's not ideal, but there's nothing we can do, unfortunately. We all want to see it going anyway.
Next time on Nerves of Steel.
Oh, it was just getting good. This episode flew by, and just as it was getting good and we're seeing more of the... it flew by so much, but let's see what we're going to see in the final episode.
For all our new staff, we have a couple of different uniforms here.
The employees seem to be really engaged, and especially with the new roller coasters coming as well.
What we're trying to do now is basically get the thing finished.
It's tight. Definitely not the most stressed anyway. That'll come. Let's send this for the first time, right?
That looks really fun, and the restraints look really comfortable and non-invasive, but I can't wait to see the final episode next week. It looks like whether or not they struggle up to the deadline, just for the sake of TV, they're at least going to make it look like they're struggling up to the deadline, but they look like they know what they're doing. Obviously, we know how the story pans out. It opened recently, last couple of weeks, but if you've seen this, what did you think? Or what did you think watching this today? What are your thoughts on Emerald Park as well? Put it in the description. As I say in the description also, I will have episodes 1 and 2. I'll link one of them up here, and I'll link the playlist up there as well, so you can see all the rest. I'll see you in the rear view. Because for now, I'm gone.